My name is Noel Morgan. I was born in Jamaica, in a place called Falmouth.
What part of Jamaica?
Falmouth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's between Ochiris and Montego on the north coast.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good to meet you once again. We're going to introduce you to the listeners, let them know a little bit more about you, about the projects that you're working on. But first, we're going to start with the term dub poet. What is a dub poet in your terms?
Well, it's to agitate, relate, investigate, in the sense that we have a need as a people, and we're going to have to reach our people in many aspects. And I'm trying to create something you call padrop. You know, you have hip-hop, you have bebop. And I'm trying to create something called padrop. It's not new, it's not a new concept, it's just a different idea. In the sense that our people involved in many different organizations and religions. So I'm thinking that as a dub poet, to reach them, we can create different genres of music. For instance, you have people in churches and they're going through the same condition, whether we're Muslim, Baptist, whatever, we're going through the same condition. But if you can relay the message in what they love, then they can reach them, they can listen.
Okay. And once again, the term dub poet, is the term dub and poet combined together because you're using music as well as the spoken word to get your message across?
Of course, definitely, of course.
Okay. And how did you become involved in being a dub poet? Where did this begin?
A long time, a very long time. I've spent some years in England, and I got involved in organizations in regard to our plight as a people coming from Jamaica and understand colonialism as a young man. And went to England and met some very strong people in regards to our liberation. And I think the first time I ever write something was in 1965, which was 50 years ago, in regards to rebellion in Morant Bay, Jamaica. And it was having a commemoration, and I wrote this piece called Fight. And I start from F to T, and you know, formulate what F means all the way down to T. And people commended me very much about what I did. And from then on I started to write poetry.
Okay. Okay, to establish a timeline now, you said you were born in Jamaica and you migrated to England.
Yeah.
Did your works as a dub poet started in England when you migrated, or were you already doing this in Jamaica?
No, it started here in the United States.
Okay.
It started here. As a matter of fact, let me say it started in Africa.
Okay.
I lived there when it started in Africa.
But the first poem that you coined was at your time in England?
Yeah, that's the first poem I coined in England, yeah.
Okay. So your many travels, it brought you from the UK to the US.
Correct.
Is that when you started recording as a dub poet?
No, I just started maybe about 5 years ago.
Oh, beautiful.
5 years ago.
Okay, so you've been writing poems over 50 years.
Well over 50 years, yes.
And you basically just started recording within the last 5 years.
Yes, if you don't mind, I can tell you the reason why.
Okay.
I'm always writing poetry, and at home I used to use my little box and so on to get music, jazz, whatever, and integrate them with my poetry. And I took a sample to Africa, and this young brother who loved to sing, matter of fact, he's a singer now, and he said, man, you need to go into the studio, because when you heard what I did, and that's how it started, 2010 in Ghana.
Never too young to learn.
Never too young to learn.
Okay. So, through your many travels, I've read that you've been to Africa every year for the past 10 years.
I lived in Africa for the past 10 years, but I've been going to Africa for 25 years.
Okay, for 25 years.
Yeah.
And it's helping you to meet new people and expanding your brand as a dub poet.
Every day, every day.
Okay, so with over 50 years of writing under your belt and only starting to record within the last 5 years. I guess we have a lot to look forward to.
Plenty.
Okay. Within the last 5 years, have you released any projects, complete bodies of works as a dub poet?
No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, so you're working towards this.
Towards that, yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
The selection process for your music, you hinted earlier that you would listen to different genres of music, jazz specifically.
Yeah.
Your selection of music to put to your words to.
Yeah.
How does that come about? How do you go about finding the beats, the rhythms that you want to use to express yourself?
Well, some of them we have to create it ourselves, or maybe create by music that I heard, or maybe sample. But when I said the different genre, I would, let's say, per drop, you have a committee. Let's say you have poets, a circle of poets, and you love to do reggae. This one want to do K.L.C.S because we're going to reach the people wherever they are. We're going to reach them. So that's why I said I'll create per drop. Then if you're a poet who like to do some gospel, but when you go into church, then those people can hear the message that you want to say in regards to our liberation. So that's the idea. So let's say you go to a jazz club, and then you can sit down and you can hear something about Sandra Bland or Trayvon Martin. Anything, you can sit in there, enjoy yourself, but there could be a nice jazz music with a good message in it.
Okay.
So that's the idea.
I love the fact that you made those references to social issues that we're having in this time now. For example, Sandra Bland.
Right.
You seem very aware of the social and political things going on around us. How much does that influence your writings?
Well, very much. I would say 90%, 99%. Not 100.
Okay. And again, coming back to your style, being a black man living in America, or you've lived in the UK, you've lived in Africa, it's very difficult for us living as a black man in these places. How would you term your poetry? Are you militant in your poetry? Are you passive, trying to bridge the gap between the problems that we have and us as a black people?
All there that is. I write because of conditions. You know, I doesn't, as I said, I agitate.
Okay.
I instigate. I relate. So I write in regards to the condition. For instance, I was in Africa last March, and I heard about this brother who was shot in the back in South Carolina. And I just write a piece named Racial Tension. Okay. And it came out to be a nice speech. I was there in March again, and this thing in South Africa they call xenophobia. I don't know if you hear about it, where South Africans was chasing those Africans, so they must go back home because they were foreigners. And I said, how could they be foreigners in Africa? So I wrote a piece, Why the Inside Problem, and shot a video in Ghana. So I write the condition.
You write to conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, normally here on TGM Radio, King Lion Caribbean Showcase, we interview artists a lot of times. And when I say artists, I mean musical artists. Yeah. We have interviewed poets before. It's a little bit different. And hearing the spoken word is very powerful when you could reach someone with spoken word, even without a rhythm or without a beat. So with that being said, do you have a piece now that you can give to the listeners now?
Yes, I could. This piece I call The Arena of Struggle. For one reason, I think in our struggle for liberation, we got to be concentrated and know where we are if we're serious about our change, because it's all up to us. So the piece I write is The Arena of Struggle. And what I did in this piece, I've called names, the female gender and the male gender, because these are some of the shoulders we stand in to have a little bit of freedom that we have today. If you're looking for me, if you want to find me, you'll find me in the arena of struggle. If you see the need to join, join me. If you know it is for the right reason, then do the right thing and enter the arena of struggle. If you are in doubt about being part of the struggle because of not knowing, then go learn about the planners and the builders of the foundation, the scholars, the warriors, the agitators, and their fundamental reasons for waging the struggle. They are our ancestors of yesteryear. You'll find them in the image and likeness of you. Harriet Tubman, Fannie Lou Hamer, Rosa Parks, Ella Baker, Ya Santiwa, Nani, Nzinga, Sir Jonah Truth, Cecile Fatiman. They work tirelessly for some of the little freedom we are enjoying. But we must go crazy and carry on to do the battle they started. The ultimate is for what we are craving for today. Freedom. They were never alone. They were heard, supported, admired by the multitude of unsung heroes. In the arena of struggle, there's always a supporting cast, carrying the struggle to the towns and villages, to the able, to the willing and the believers, the brave and the ready, laying out the crucial plans and reasons for involvement. They are Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Booker T. Washington, Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, Francois Dessalines, Macadam Bookman, Reverend Martin Luther King, Kojo, Paul Robeson, Frederick Douglass, Paul Bogle, Sam Sharp, Malcolm X, Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, Maurice Bishop, Kwame Ture, Walter Rod, Patrice Lumumba. They all roar like thunder. They must not be forgotten. They must be kept in our hearts. They're alive. We must robe ourselves in their armor. Courage, defiance, and determination. And in their spirit, we must go and take our freedom with their weapons of choice. There's a thought. They came, they saw, they hesitated not to address their plight in captivity. They went to work. The blueprints are still at large.
Beautiful. What I want to ask you while you were speaking the spoken word, your voice. They call you the voice of force.
Yeah.
But seeing you perform just now, you don't have to question why you have that moniker. Is that something that you worked on as a poet? The spoken word, did you train your voice to be that powerful?
No, I never did. It's just natural. My voice is just natural.
Just natural.
I think I cried a lot when I was a baby.
Your lungs is strong.
Strong, yeah.
Okay. Now, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
And with that being said, as someone like myself who I like to pick up a book, I like to read and learn, hearing the names that you went over, first the females and then the males, for any of the listeners listening, you would just want to reach out and pick out one of those names and start reading. So it's a beautiful thing that you're doing. Where did your inspiration come from as a poet?
My inspiration again comes from being traveling and see the condition. For instance, I've been, say, to England and met other parts of Europe, and I was meeting African from different walks of life. And maybe even languages, we can't connect. But at least we can understand that the same thing I've been through, they go through. So that by traveling and seeing our situation being similar, it gave me all that inspiration. Like these names, the reason I call these names, there's some names some people knows, and there's some that doesn't know. So the best thing to go to know about these people is to research them.
Yes.
Then we can see the reason why we need to be involved in our struggle.
Yes.
And that's why I did that.
Okay, speaking about people listening to your works and going and researching what you're saying, that poem in particular and your other works, where can people go to find your works in one place or maybe a handful of places on the internet?
Well, I have a couple of pieces of work on a website, which is very inactive. It's www.wordpress .com.
Yes.
You know. My work is not out there. I'm planning a book. I'm planning a book with a CD for the future. And I'll say next year sometime it'll be out. I'm writing a book. You know, I'm going to create a book of poetry with little notes of some of the things I discuss. Sometimes I write plays, so I have little things I write out.
Well, I guess with your journey throughout all these years, in addition to the poems themselves, you have experiences that you would want to get across. So you're planning on putting out a book where you're speaking of your experiences and also doing the spoken word.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
With that being said, do you have any printed work out now people can go to on the internet? Or
No.
Okay.
No.
We got to get these things out.
Oh yes, most definitely. Definitely. Because as I said, to be honest, when I came to this country, I used to write little small poems, nothing rigid in regards to liberation. Until 1982, I was invited to a K.L.C.S program, and for some reason I couldn't have made it. So the next day I asked a sister who went, and she said, it was nice, but there was a young lady who tried to write a poem about Malcolm, and it wasn't effective. And it sort of touched me, because I think writing a poem for Malcolm was very easy in regards to if you study the man. So I wrote a piece right there and then named Alone. And from then I didn't stop, I keep on going. I just keep, sometimes I do 4 poems a night in regards to what I've been driving on the highway and I see something and I stop at a nearby gas station or somewhere, a piece of box, a piece of any kind of implement, I write and I go and construct it. I used to do things like that.
Okay.
I used to do things like that.
Speaking of the spoken word, since you've been very limited in your releases thus far, but yet still you have a name that many people are aware of. Did that come about from live performances?
Yes, a lot of live performances, like when the early days were like Black History Month, and I would go to colleges and things like K.L.C.S programs, various African programs. I was always reading and writing for them. I sometimes do it at LIB back in the early days in the 80s and so on. For instance, Kwame Ture, too many people know as Stokely Carmichael, was a dear friend of mine, and whenever he come back from Africa, he'd go to the university or so, he always come to read a poem or something like that. So I do a little poetry around. So that's where I've been known, really.
Okay, so you have toured the college circuits.
Yeah, I do some college circuits back in Jersey and once up in Westport, New York.
Okay. Has your journey taken you back to England and Africa as a poet as well?
Yes, I did some poetry in England. I've done it a couple of times on events like Black History Month and get interview on a couple of radio stations a couple of times. And I did it in Africa too. In Africa, I go on a radio station, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and did a lot of poetry and talk about my experiences around the world and so on, you know, things like that. And events in Ghana also, the students from the university, I get involved with them if something happening, I go and read a few poems or something like that, yeah.
Okay, and it seems from, as you alluded to Kwanzaa and your friends of African descent, the African community is very big in America, so I guess it's easy for you to network with those people.
Oh, yeah.
What is the difference between the African community in the U.S. and I know there's a very big African community in England, because I was born in England,
yeah,
so I know there's a very big African community in England.
Yeah.
What is the difference across the water from the U.S. to the U.K., how you accepted as an artist?
Well, as an artist, I think in England now, let me say, I think England has just started growing in you know, in regards to when I was living there. When I was living there, I was involved like with Walter Rodney, C.L.R. James, you know. I was among those people too. But I think the United States is more broader in the sense that the issue of our people was more here than any place else, like in the archives, the libraries, and so on. And I've seen people in the UK, they just start rising up, because as a young man, I went to England in the 1960s. I went to England in 1960. And at the time I could see, as it is sometime here too, but the difference, we were different people. We were Trinidadians, we were Jamaicans, there was not that strong grip. Today I can see that strong grip among African people in the UK. I can see it's growing, people call me and invite to things while I'm there. Because most of the time I'm going to Africa, I always stop in England and have a few weeks, and people invite me to different things that is happening. Because I still have friends who are still there and still doing the same struggle like myself, and they'll always invite me to things. So I really see England growing in that aspect, and I love that really. But in the United States, it was a broader base, because when I left England really, 1974 is when I see that things would start to rise. I remember in Lions Square down in Holborn, they had demonstration. And I remember there was a student who got beaten to death because they were demonstrating against the National Front at the time. And and nobody paid for that murder. And I started seeing racism rising in England with the National Front. And I said, I'm going to the US because I got 8 generation of family in the US, and if I'm not satisfied, then I'll go off to Africa and live. Well, I'm in England, I'm in the US now 40-something years, and I've been going back and forth to Africa, the homeland. I've spent a long time, the last 10 years I've been spending most of my time there. So I'm bridging the gap, because family is strength.
I want to touch on a particular touchy subject or volatile issue. It's once again the black community, and us as a younger generation now, we feel there's many injustice against us. You being an elder, you traveling the world and seeing racism on different levels. In your eyes, what is the difference in the racism or the injustices our generation is facing versus the racism you would say you've seen for the prior generations?
Well, I think, I think fear is one thing, in the sense that the person who's perpetrating these things against us see the rise of consciousness. They're seeing the rise of consciousness, so they're reacting. They're reacting because the youth of today are demanding, rightfully so. And so the only way the forces to create this threat is doing what they're doing. And all we have to do is continue forge on. First we got to organize properly as a people. Organize, because we're strategic people. And once we're strategic and know what we're doing, we can overcome all these issues. But it's getting more overt, more blatant, for many reasons. As I said, they realize the rise. We ain't looking back what my grandfather would sit back and compromise. The young children of today are not compromising. They want to live. So therefore, this thing is going to be happening to them, and we have to build a reinforcement.
Okay. Another thing I want to know for the listeners now is the difference between hearing the spoken word that you're giving us now in the studio. Father German.
Yes, sir.
Give our listeners a sample of Mr. Noel Morgan on those rhythms again. One more. The voice of force once again, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Noel Morgan. Salute once again.
Thanks, my brother.
It's really beautiful and touching when you can get your message across. And we have so many different ways that we could get our message across and get our message out there. And the route that you have chosen, it's a beautiful one.
Thanks.
Those tracks that we were just listening to, the first one was entitled Racial Tension.
Yeah.
Obviously speaking of injustices in our society.
Right, today.
Okay. Then Father German gave you the intro for your current project that's out now,
Right.
the Awakening CD.
Right.
Tell us a little bit more about the Awakening CD and where can our listeners go to pick it up?
To be honest, they got nothing out there for anybody to pick. Always have them at Source of Knowledge, a store in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay, Source of Knowledge.
Yeah, 867 Broad Street, New Jersey, and the telephone number is 973-824-2556. 973-824-2556. Soon I'm going to be putting them out in maybe CD babies and all. I'm going to arrange to put them out in the media the best way I can, that it can be reached. But before I say anything, before you, that Africa cry, and the young lady said Africa Sue, I want everyone to know it means Africa cry. That's tree in Ghana.
Okay.
Africa Sue, it means Africa cry. That's what Sue means.
Okay.
Okay. So,
always good to learn something new.
right.
TGM Radio, Kingline Caribbean Showcase. Okay, now we're definitely gonna be on board helping you getting these projects out there. For the listeners now, if they want to reach out online, you said you shot a video when you were in Africa.
Yes, I shot a video. Yeah, I got a video. Yeah,
okay, so do you have a YouTube page that the listeners could go to?
Oh yes, they can go to Noel Morgan and they can look at it. Why Against Thy Brother?
Okay.
Why Against Thy Brother? They'll see that video.
Okay, and keeping in tune with social media.
I put it on Facebook because we got to reach each other. And my cause is to fight to the finish. I'm in this to the very end because we can't bring children and grandchildren in this society, in this world, and don't protect them. So that's my cause. I'm always on social media putting out important things for us to reach, and they can get back to me anytime. I'm not on Instagram, but I'm on Facebook.
Okay. Pardon the listeners on the radio, tuned in, UK, the US, the whole of Europe listening right now. We also record these interviews. We upload them to YouTube, Kingline Caribbean Showcase page if you want to go back and check out past interviews or this interview is today. And we just had technical difficulties actually. We're running smooth, but a little technical difficulty. The camera stopped for a moment. And I want you once again to let the listeners know where in Jersey can they go and find that CD right now if they would like to find it physically.
867 Broad Street, Newark, New Jersey. Telephone number 973-824-2556. Or you can call me personally, 908-644-9024. 908-644-9024.
Once again, you have work on YouTube. Is the page Noel Morgan?
Noel Morgan.
Okay, you can look up Mr. Noel Morgan on YouTube. You can also look him up on Facebook if you would like to contact him.
Right.
And you can check the store out in Jersey if you're looking for the physical CD for now to quench that thirst.
Yep.
If you're willing to wait, 2016, Mr. Morgan is working on putting these works in the studio.
With new stuff.
New stuff.
With new, I'm planning to do some new stuff.
Okay.
So they'll be out there, a big mix.
Okay. Before we tune out, you had a young lady on Africa Cry with you.
Yeah.
How do you go about selecting artists to work with?
Well, it's like, as I said, I'm young in the dub, the music and the spoken word, and I went to a studio in Ghana to do a little work, and while I was there, the brother, he was a DJ, and he said, why don't send for this young lady to give me a backup? And he did, and she came, and I love what she did, so I keep her number. So when I decided to go into the studio and start to do this, I called her.
Okay.
And that's how we hook up. She's a young sister, beautiful sister, and she got a voice like an angel. She can sing like everybody.
Okay, I have a quick question. Since you're working with younger artists and stuff like that, and you have been putting pen to paper for over 50 years. Have you ever considered writing for other artists?
Oh yes, most definitely. Matter of fact, I would love to see, I'm involved in bringing the youths up, writing for them, write for them to sing, write for them to read. I'm willing to do that, write for anybody.
Okay, Mr. Noel Morgan, once again, ladies and gentlemen, imparting that wisdom and that knowledge to the youth, speaking of all the social injustices, political strife, and a lot more. Your poems have a lot of feeling. The voice is very powerful. Your voice is really what grabbed my attention out the gate.
Thanks, brother.
TGM Radio, K.L.C.S Caribbean Showcase. Before we tune out, I'm requesting personally one more piece of the spoken word for our listeners.
Oh, this piece, it's called Everyday African, and I wrote it and said, you know, because I've been involved with so many things over many years, and sometimes a person might say, he's a Muslim, he's a Rasta, he's whatever, because of the different settings.
Yes.
So I write this piece, an Everyday African, because I want to be the same person every day in my life. It might come out, I'm just the same person doing the same thing. And it's about our liberation. I'm deep into our liberation, because we must liberate. We are from the best part of life, and we got to get it back. I am that everyday African who walked planet Earth with one desire, to be among my African brothers and sisters, the good ones that must be admired. I am that everyday African who prepared to address our downtrodden plight, and ready to go fight to defend Africa's right. It's a worthwhile cause. It's a worthwhile journey. So much have been lost. So much have been shattered. Division is a complex frustration. It's so much of a big, big bother. I'm that everyday African. Don't put me in your division. I am from here or I'm from there. What do I care? We have a bird that we all share. I am on Africa's mission. That's the only way I want to be conditioned, that I can display my learned action, and you too can come running with strong reaction. Come to be among the family. Let's build a strong army, even though you may be part of the Salvation Army or one of the others, the Catholic, the Baptist, the Methodist, or whatever. Come, let's all go and resist. I am that everyday African, ready to go to execute any plan to uplift the African clan. I am no other one. I will not answer to any of the names to defile me. I am that African who vibrates in the spirit of African cause. You can't excite me. I was born to be me. To be no other but me. Your assumption, your presumption is not a threat to me. I'm an African and will always be. I am that everyday African with a conviction, coming from that strong tradition, only to visualize Africa's mission. I'm that African who hesitate not to bring about our unification. I'm not here to pretend when there's so much to defend. I'm not here to compromise or to belittle my character or integrity for any bribes of worthless money. I'm that everyday African who will not sell out, will continue to shout, Africa unite. For Africa, this everyday African man will fight. Peace, balance and blessings, always.
Mr. Noel Morgan, whether you're Trinidadian, Jamaican, Haitian, Guyanese, it's the K.L.C.S Caribbean Showcase, and we're all African, as he just said. Put very eloquently. It was very much a pleasure interviewing you today.
Pleasure too, my brother.
Before we tune out, is there anyone you want to send a special thank you to, a shout out to?
All the revolutionary warriors, my children, my grandson, and to all those who's in love with themselves as African people and ready to be a part of our struggle and our tribulation.
Once again, TGM Radio, K.L.C S Caribbean Showcase, every Monday, 4 to 7. You can go to the YouTube, check out the page, King Lion Caribbean Showcase, for past and current interviews. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next Monday. Peace.
Peace.